Hi, everyone. Welcome to Lady Loves Comedy's Lady Chat. I'm here with the amazing Dana Goldberg.
Hey, everybody.
Hi.
Hi, Sugar. It's nice to see you. I haven't
Nice
seen
to
you
see
since the HRC event in Miss Wisconsin. Where were we?
Miss Wisconsin in Milwaukee. Yeah. It was so fun working with you.
You're fabulous. It was so nice. We hadn't met before that. I don't know if the people watching know that, but that was my first meeting, and you were fabulous.
Thank you. I felt like I was obnoxious because I'm like, I'm going to be in a movie. I'm so excited.
That's okay. You should be proud of accomplishments. I think that women in general are too worried about like touting their own accomplishments, and I think y'all need to get over that.
Yes, agreed. I agree. So I'm super excited to have you here, not only because you're an amazing comic, you're an incredible woman, but
Thank
because I like you. I had so much fun with you, and I love how passionate you are on social media. It just makes me so happy.
Thank you.
There is something about this time period and watching women be so real and in your face, not in your face, but
I know
like
what you mean.
on your face.
I do love when women are on my face. That's actually my favorite place for them.
Yay.
Mm-hmm. I just got some out of my teeth. If you're watching, I just finished lunch like 10 minutes ago. And I asked Dina before we started, is there anything in my teeth? And she said, no, they're clear. And I just swallowed a piece of lettuce.
Okay, in all fairness, I don't have my old lady glasses on, so
I think we're good.
I did not see it.
Okay, it'll this one time I'm letting you get away with this.
Okay. In person. Next time be like, Dina, put your old lady glasses on.
I will. I'll be like, you need to check more closely. Anyway, yes, super active on social media right now. I feel like, I feel like I have a public platform, so it's not like my obligation. I have a drive inside of me right now to use that voice, and it seems to be reaching the people it needs to reach. And I know when I upset someone and they start going after me personally, which happens constantly, that I've definitely hit a nerve in them. Mm-hmm. And I think that's how people start conversations, where they start to change and expand their boundaries, because I don't want to yell in an echo chamber. I mean, sometimes It feels really nice to be in our safe bubble, but at the same time, nothing's going to change if we're only speaking to ourselves. So I don't even know if that was proper grammar, but we're going to stay with it.
I mean, I totally accept it as proper grammar.
Thank you.
I'm from Texas, so I have really low standards.
The bar is so low. Texas education system, when they're teaching that Moses is one of the founding fathers, the bar is super low.
Is that really happening?
It's in one of the history books.
Stop it.
They won't teach about the gays, but they'll mess up your history for you.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Moses.
Someone's Googling that right now, and they're going to be like, oh my God, Dina was telling the truth.
Did they know that he was a Jew?
I actually had someone on social media yell at me because this will shock you. I shared one of Tommy Lauren. Don't get mad. I shared one of her posts, not ironically. I shared it because she is actually pro-choice, which is interesting because she got fired from her last job for it. I do not like her. I think that she has awful stances on many things, but this was something that in order to reach the other side, it's often helpful when one of their own speaks our talking points. So I shared it, and some anti-Semitic jerk comes on and he goes, Christians don't let Jews tell them what to do. And I was like, you literally have a bracelet on that says, what would Jesus do? Like,
I saw that.
It's not like you're just you're asking him. I think it's interesting that a lot of quote unquote, and I call them fake Christians, because I know there's a lot of good Christians out there, but the fake Christians don't even realize or remember that Jesus is Jewish.
Totally.
Yeah.
Completely. I mean, and I was a youth minister, and I was going to plant a church. And so I was like I was steeped in that culture.
Oh.
I still had a lot of I knew the Jesus that he's supposed to be the one that's like loving and kind and, you know, and ascended. And so that for me was really like seeing everything that happens and being like, oh, well, I remember being like, Jesus was a Jew, and to be considered, be called rabbi, and you had to be married. So he was married and he was respected by other people. So he was part of the whole, you know, structure. So I don't understand how that has totally disappeared.
Well, that's because people always bastardize, if you will, stories to match their own agenda and to match their own talking points. So Jesus, who is a brown man, probably from the Middle East of some sort, has now been turned into this like old white man with a beard and a, you know, a sickle. And that is just in the eye of someone that makes him the way he wants to look. I mean, things change based on, you know, people's stories and how they want to pass on the legacy and the history of quote unquote their own people. I mean, they've whitewashed Jesus, like literally.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. 100%. Like,
So,
Jesus is so Middle Eastern, I would probably date him. I don't know what that was, but I was, okay.
It's called The Truth, and I want you to own it.
Yes.
That's what that was. That was true talk.
It's true.
That was true talk right there.
So, when you're faced with,
I need to tell you, I'm not wearing pants. I'm just, if you're watching, I needed to just, people can think what they want, but Dina, I did not know this was on video. And so I just texted Dina like 10 minutes ago. She's like, you're going to be fine. I was like, but I just got finished with the run and I'm in a robe. And so I was like, all right, well, I'm just going to get dressed, but I'm not putting pants on. So I don't have any pants on. I have a blanket, but no pants.
You're the person that tells on themselves like me. Like, don't you? Every time you do something and you're like, oh, that was embarrassing, I'm going to tell people anyway.
Because I feel like it at least takes the power. I get to keep my own power. If I'm like, I'm not wearing pants, let's move on.
Totally. I love that. Thank you. I'm
sorry, back to Jesus.
I'm like, back to Jesus.
Jesus wasn't wearing any pants either the last time we saw him.
Probably never.
Right.
About his life. So what is your motto when you go into things and you get into controversy? Because you like to get into, you get into controversy. Like people get all like, kind of like with me, like I had this thing where somebody was like, I posted that have gay sex because then you won't have abortions or whatever. And I thought it was hilarious, you know? And yes, that is not negating the fact that some people that are trans have uteruses and sleep with men. That is not denying that. It's just funny as, you know.
I feel like sometimes even in our own community, we can get a little bit too PC lately. And I understand that people take things personally, but I also think when you're offended by a joke, you need to ask yourself why.
Yeah. I mean, fair.
Yeah. Because if I find myself offended by jokes, and I do, I'm always like, why does that upset me? But also I'm pretty reflective. Most people who get really upset immediately aren't as self-reflective, but as comedians, not only are we self-reflective, we're like tearing ourselves apart constantly. So we're like, why do I feel that way? Why did that upset me? Yeah. So don't even worry about it. And you're a trans woman making the joke. So I feel like within the own community, you even have more right to say something than I do.
Well, that is not necessarily true.
Oh.
We will have that conversation maybe off camera.
Fair.
I just had this guy like post like, I hope you get cancer, and I'm like, I don't understand. And then said, how could somebody say that about Jesus? And I was like, he's dead.
The other thing, the story of Jesus, like I said, has been changed so much through the years. And I like that there's certain people that need something to look to in order to behave on earth. Mm-hmm. If that's what makes you a good person, congratulations and please continue. However, some of us don't have that Messiah or that God in a human form. We believe in something higher than ourselves, and they're just differences within us. There's a number of different gods out there than people believe in. Just because Christianity has Jesus doesn't mean everyone should be following this fella. I'm sure he was a nice guy.
Right.
I love that this administration says they're Christians and they think Jesus is coming back, and I'm like, they better hope it doesn't happen during this administration, because he'll never get through immigration.
I mean, right? I don't plus there's not a single ounce of anything Christ taught about it, which makes me okay.
No, the followers of Trump especially.
I'm like, how?
Yeah, they can't. Anyway. It's not Jesus talk.
I love it. So what's your philosophy? Philosophy. I don't know what that word was. It was kind of like I'm on the master cleanse, so I just said pee, and it.
Yeah, you haven't had any sort of sustenance for a while, so I'm going to forgive anything that comes out of your mouth.
As everyone should. So I'm wondering what your philosophy is when you get faced with that that controversy, those naysayers, those people that want to combat you verbally or social media.
There's every once in a while I make the mistake of engaging, and I'll be honest with you, I will lose hours of my day, and my little monkey brain gets going. So most of the time I don't engage. I try not to even read them, because as a comedian, we are sensitive human beings, most of us. And so when I read those things, even though it seems like I have tough skin and thick skin, it actually, it affects me. So I've learned not to. Everyone says, don't ever read the comments section. Well, there's truth in that. When it comes to Twitter and things like that, every once in a while, I look at responses and things, and usually I just laugh, because they're so asinine and they're so ridiculous. And they're also like hard left turns into things we're not even talking about, that I just kind of let them go. And usually the one thing that I think, more than the fact that I'm a lesbian, people go after my last name being Goldberg. It's these anti-Semitic, white supremacist jerks on social media. And whenever they do that, I just kind of laugh when they're like, okay, Goldberg, or they go into, whatever, me being Jewish and me being a lesbian comic. And my favorite thing is when someone's like, I thought you were supposed to be funny, or these are the jokes that you tell at your shows must suck. And I'm like, that's that whole misconception that everyone has to stay in their lane, if you will. And as a comedian, I'm not allowed to be an advocate and not allowed to speak the truth. Or as an athlete, you're not allowed to talk about politics. You're not allowed to kneel on the field because you're supposed to be playing your sport. Like, it's a ridiculous thing to say to someone, especially when we have a reality show host that slept with a porn star, cheated on his wife, that is now the president of the United States, and they're telling people to stay in their lane. It's insanity.
100%.
Yeah.
And watching how celebrities and people in the public eye are told over and over to mind your own business, get out of politics. Like, you can no longer ever use that, because you just elected somebody who's in the public, like in reality television.
Yeah.
I'm just, okay. Yeah, I'm so shocked by that. So you do a lot. You are on Stephanie Miller show frequently.
Yes.
That's really awesome, because I love it. I listen to it when I'm in my car.
She's fabulous. I was actually on this morning. When I'm in Los Angeles, I'm on every Thursday morning. So if you listen to Steffi, I'm on the third hour usually on Thursday mornings. It's been neat, to be honest with you. Like, Dina, when I go to my different shows, there's always Steph heads now in the audience that come up to me afterwards and go, oh my God, we heard about your show on the radio, or we listen to Stephanie every week and we love you. Her show, I think, and I may be wrong on this number being low. Like, I may say this low, but I think the show gets 6 million listeners a week.
Oh, wow.
Like, it's massive. And it's on Progressive 127 on Sirius XM. So people can listen to it there, or you can actually watch my face on Free Speech TV. They cover all of the progressive talk shows on there too. It's pretty amazing. Yeah.
Very cool. Right on. So since this is about comedy,
yes,
Kat, how did you start comedy? I know I read the story, but I want to hear you say it.
Okay, so I actually auditioned in high school for my high school talent show, and I did a 10-minute stand-up routine when I was 17, and I won. which is really funny because like I looked back and saw the tape, which was on like an 8-track. I'm not kidding. And, or a digitized, I don't know what it was, but it was a little
like a Betamax.
Yes, it was a Betamax. So, I mean, not that I'm that old.
I don't know what that is, but I've heard about it.
I don't want to hear it. I don't like your tone. So basically I went back and looked at the video. I'm wearing a pair of jeans, a button down and a tie. And I'm talking about why my boyfriends aren't working out in high school. Like I look just like Paula Poundstone. And so I won that. And then I didn't touch a stage for eight years. After that, I got my degree. I have a degree in physical education because I'm a lesbian from New Mexico and it's the law. But I went and there was a show that used to come through town. It was called Funny Lesbians for a Change, and it raised higher education scholarships for women in the community. So I went and I saw, for the first time, I remember this, it was Suzanne Westenhofer, who's now a friend of mine. I saw her show and the laughter she got and the applause and the jokes. And I was like, I want to know what that feels like. And so a few years later, I went and auditioned. It's a great story, but a sad story. The woman I was dating at the time happened to be a pilot in the military. And she went with me to the audition, and the audition had ended 3 minutes before we got there. And they told me I'd have to wait till next year. So I'd always wanted to do this. I was afraid to do it, but I went with her and I missed the audition. We ended up breaking up and she moved. But during that year, she was on a military exercise and her plane actually hit a mountain, and she and the entire crew got killed. And so it was one of those moments in life. And I think a lot of people have those, Oprah calls them aha moments, where you're like, what do I want to do? Like, what do I want to do with my life? It's limited. Our time on earth is limited. I know this is a comedy podcast. Sorry, we'll get back to that. But, and I went and auditioned again the next year, and they gave me a 7-minute set in front of 650 people in a sold out theater in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And honestly, before I went on stage, I could see my heart beating through my shirt. And I didn't touch the microphone because my hands were shaking, and I thought it was going to turn into like an amplifying vibrator of some sort with the shape of the microphone. And honestly, honey, I hit my first big joke and I heard the most deafening laughter I'd ever heard. And I went into some zone and I felt like I could fly. It was 7 minutes. It was awesome. I got a standing ovation, and that was the beginning of this journey. And so I had a really, really positive start, which was awesome.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, not everybody has that positive story, but I'm grateful that I do.
Yeah, that's really amazing.
Yeah.
So the high just kept you doing it?
Kept me doing it. The highs are there and the lows are there. We have bad nights at work. Everyone who's a comedian watching this knows. But for the most part, my highs are higher. But at the same time, and I think you could probably agree to this, the shows that I struggle the most and the shows that are the hardest for me are the shows that I learn from. Like if we're going out there and we're killing it every night and you're just doing the same material, yeah, it feels good, but you also get complacent. You don't write as much and you don't have that growth, at least in my experience. And there's no way we're going to have a great show every single night. It's just not plausible. Right. Audiences are different. They're finicky. We have a bad day. I think what's really hard though is that as a society, when a comedian has a bad show, it's public. Mm-hmm. When a doctor has a bad day at work, no one often knows, or let's say an accountant. Sometimes when a doctor has a bad day, people know.
I've watched Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah, sometimes shit goes wrong. But with comedians, I think that the audience is like, God, that comic sucks. And we're judged by our worst shows, which isn't fair, especially if we have an audience that's only there for one night. Mm-hmm. So I would tell anyone who's listening, if you've gone to see a comedian and you're just like, oh, I don't know, or blah, 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 go see him more than once. Go listen to one of their CDs, because people have bad days. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't mean they're bad at their job. Some comedians may not be in the right field, but for the most part, when you go see someone that, has some accreditation and has been out in the world, and you're like, oh, maybe it's just a bad day at work. Give them, give them a little break. So
that's a good perspective. I like that.
Yeah.
I hate those moments because there are moments that you're just like, I'm quitting. And when you think about it, it's like every job, but for some reason, this seems like quitting comedy seems so intense and emotional and like big versus
Yeah.
like just quitting the job at a restaurant.
Yeah. Well, this is because this is us. This is your art. Dina, this is the way we express ourselves through this. Like, I mean, it's terrifying when we're like, wait, if this defines me and suddenly I'm not good at this anymore, who am I? I've had those days where I woke up. I used to text my friend Gloria Bigelow, who is a brilliant comedian, be like, I'm not funny anymore. I don't know how to do this. And she's like, stop it. You're fine. But we have those moments where we're like, is this it? Is this my life? Is this all it's going to be? Everyone, I think, goes through that. And thank God other people have the same shared experiences so we don't feel crazy.
Right.
Right?
I mean, I do feel crazy most of the time.
Well, sure. Yeah.
And then I also think I'm teaching people to go through this so that they can have those bad moments and be miserable.
That is impressive to me. And I know you're really good at it. Those students are lucky to have you because you do have this experience. You're funny as hell. Two, you also have this life experience that's make you more vulnerable and naked than most people. And I think that's a benefit for you. And I also think it's a benefit for your students. So I love that you're doing this.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right, everyone. That's been our time. No, I really appreciate that because like this has been one of those weeks where I'm like, why am I doing this still? Why do I do this?
Yeah.
And just knowing and being able to talk to other comics right now is just really empowering and beautiful. So
always lean on your colleagues because I go through it all of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's miserable.
Yeah. But at the same time,
I love it and I hate it.
I know. It's the hardest relationship in my life.
It's like pizza. I love it. I hate it.
We hate you. Yeah.
So what have you been working on lately?
Well, let's see. I'm working on a couple of things. One, I'm about to launch a new podcast in the middle of June. So I'm very excited about that. Yeah, it's going to be called Out in Left Field. I had done some videos with The Advocate. I decided to make this in a podcast because I do the Stephanie Miller Show once a week. Mm-hmm. Stephanie Miller has created this family of liberal voices right now, and especially liberal political voices, called the Sexually Liberal Podcast Network. So Stephanie Miller, John Fugelsang, there's like, Randy Rhodes, like these names in big time liberal talk radio. They asked me to be a part of the family. So I'm going to launch a podcast with them in the middle of June, which I'm very excited about. And I've got my continued touring. I do, as you know, a lot of hosting for large black tie galas around the country. I have a very strange gift of live auctioneering and raising money. So what happens is like these black ties bring me in to do stand-up and I host the gala. And when people are happy and they're in a good mood, they often open their wallets a little bit wider and I'm able to get more money out of them than a lot of the people they would hire from like a Christie's or things like that. Just because one, I'm connected to the subject matter. So I'm actually passionate about it. And two, these are my people. Like I'm going to make them laugh. I'm going to bring them in. We're all fighting for the same cause. And so I've been doing that since 2009, just kind of another tool in my toolbox, if you will. So I've got a lot of galas coming up with the Human Rights Campaign. One is, I just finished one for some homeless. It's an organization that's amazing. They have a running organization where it's called Back on My Feet. And they help people in homeless shelters become part of running groups. And then they start to get their self-esteem back and their self-worth and their accountability to other people and teammates. And then once they've committed a certain amount of time, they help them find housing and get them back into the workforce. So I just did that with them. And I'm doing a bunch of other benefits coming up. I have a Planned Parenthood one in October I'm very excited about, especially with what's going on in the world right now. So it's kind of cool. I have this comedic voice, and with such hard subjects, we are so angry right now, a lot of us, and so fired up that sometimes it's hard to bring it back down and to have the conversations we need to have and get the things done we need to get done. So I bring levity to these subjects where people are like, oh my God, the world's not going to end. We're going to be okay. But I'm also really fired up and I want to get some shit done. So let's do it. And right. So it's this little sweet spot that I found, and I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying doing something good in the world. And, at the same time, it makes me feel good.
I love that. That's so good. Well done, you. Like,
Thank
I would go to a black tie and they would be like, she just said the worst part of being a straight woman is having a dick.
Yeah.
Maybe next year.
Well, trust me, I have definitely gotten to some, like, one of my new favorite jokes is basically like saying that I just came back from Austin and they have great barbecue. It's called Salt Lick. I don't know if you know that. Oh, which is also what my lesbian friends call each other after spin class. But it's a joke that no matter what audience I'm in, everyone's like, oh, it was funny. And then there's this giggle, and then people start to explain it to people, and the laughter starts getting louder around the room. But it's this way for me to like diffuse a situation where I'm not offending anybody. It's not political, and I'm talking about my people. So it works out well.
That's so good.
Salt Lick.
I love that so much. Plus, I used to love the Salt Lick in Austin.
It's good barbecue.
It's so good.
It's weird.
I love
it. So that's basically the projects I'm working on right now. I have an exciting meeting next week. 2 weeks. I can't really say anything, but hopefully something will come out of that I'll be able to report back to you. We can do like a "Where is she now?"
I love that.
Yeah.
Plus, that is so Hollywood. I loved it.
I'm like, I'm not allowed to tell you right now.
No, I have a project I'm really excited about, but I can't talk about it yet. I can't talk about it for another 6 months.
So douchey.
No, I love it. This is the thing, is the reality of our business is that we get really excited about something and we can't talk about it a lot of times. So when we like, I want to say something good's coming.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's true.
I love it.
Something good's coming.
Yes. Would just email me and be like, yes, bitch, we're on this. And then I would be like, yay.
Yeah. You're going to, this is just the beginning.
It
There's
is.
big stuff going on.
I'm old.
I know. I feel like I should ask you some questions.
If I could just live long enough.
You're going to be fine. We're not old. You are vivacious young lady.
Vivacious.
I love that word.
It's a good word.
Isn't it?
As I adjust my bosom, like, vivacious.
It is very much okay.
I mean, it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Work it out.
I love it.
You got a lot to lift right there. That's.
I mean, it's mostly like padding. So I'm just having so much fun with you. Like, this is people are gonna be like, they just laughed for 30 minutes. I don't even know.
I feel like I should ask you questions, but I guess everyone already knows you, so you're supposed to ask me questions.
That's kind of the point. So I think I had this in my head before, and then I was like, where'd it go? I'm really good at this sometimes, you guys. So what women really inspire you in comedy right now? Right
now, I just watched Wanda Sykes' new special, Not Normal, and it's brilliant. So Wanda is definitely one of the ones. Yes, everyone go watch it on Netflix. The reason I like the special so much is that Wanda's gotten to the point in her career, and I look forward to getting there, but although I don't really hold it back, she doesn't have any more fucks to give. So basically whatever is coming to her mind now, I hope I'm allowed to curse on this.
Yes.
Okay, good. Whatever comes to her mind now is coming out, and she's definitely very political right now, and she's so damn funny. So I really enjoy watching Wanda. And what's nice is like the other people that I'm like, who do I admire? They're my colleagues. Like, I get to share the stage with them. Erin Foley, Jessica Kirsten, Fortune Feimster, like all of these people that are doing, all of these women that are doing huge things in this world, and like starting their podcasts and getting on television and selling their sitcoms. You know, my friend Gina Yashere, she's executive producer of something that got picked up for CBS, and Gloria Bigelow is going to be a staff writer. Like, these women in the industry that I know and love are like killing it in the world right now. And so I get to watch all of this happen around me. And, you know, I'll be honest, sometimes there's like, oh man, when's my time going to come? But at the same time, we got to work toward what we want. And all of them are working so hard, and they're making it happen. And it's actually really inspiring.
I love that.
Yeah.
But also, don't you find that you tend to get, like, once one person starts making it, everything, like the momentum of the people that hang out together kind of starts.
Definitely. I'm not sure if I don't know if I'm always top of mind when it comes to my other comedian friends when stuff like that happens, because I'm out of town so much. And I'm traveling, so I'm not sure, but I definitely see it happening. You know, Gina got the show and she, you know,
So happy.
brought Gloria in. You know, those are the things that happens. You know, Liz Feldman selling Dead to Me, you know, to be able to hire women within the industry, and not necessarily like friends, but people that they just know are talented. Like, we recognize that in each other, and it is nice to put a hand back, and it's such a weird statement, but to put a hand back and take the person with us, because it's not like they're behind us, they're standing next to us doing the same fight we are, but it's just sort of that visual of like, I got this part, let's go, come with me. And when that happens for me, I will definitely do that. I feel like I do that even now, you know, whether I'm headlining in a city, I'll often bring in a local female comedian so that people can see them and they can get the visibility and of the audience that I already have the luxury of having, that I've built. So it's not just a luxury, but I've earned and I've built. But at the same time, I want to be able to give other people opportunities. And that's the way to do it. You know, there's so many male comedians out there, and there's so many straight comedians out there, and not that the gay LGBT community needs to stick together on our own, but at the same time, we are so marginalized, even within an industry that's already marginalized toward women. So then the pot gets even smaller for lesbians and trans women and bi women. So I do think it's really important that when we have those breaks and when we get those successes to, lift our friends up with us.
For sure.
Yeah.
And Dead to Me was seriously so fucking good.
I loved it.
Like, I was in it the whole way, like, and I watched it all in one day because I was depressed, and I was like, I'll just watch this show. And amazing. Christina Applegate makes me happy.
Oh, she's brilliant. I know that, I think they find out in the next month or even sooner if it gets picked up for a second season. I'll be shocked if it doesn't. It's like the #1 show on Netflix in the UK and Ireland as well. So I would be shocked if it didn't. I'm just so happy for her. And this is someone who has worked hard. And I think that, you know, we as artists get frustrated, and, you know, this is a very much like a manifestation statement, but when we plant those seeds, if we don't see them growing through the ground right away, we get frustrated and sometimes we quit, and we don't know that they're right underneath the earth's surface and they're about to break through. And I think we just have to have faith in that and realize that we are on our path. We're doing the things that we need to do for that, and just kind of let the universe water and meet us halfway for those, to be honest with you.
I love that. Also, one kind of going in hand with that, when we talk, like, because I'm so manifesting, when we put a seed in the ground, and like, this is obviously metaphorically, and then we keep pulling it back and holding on to it, and then putting it back and hoping it'll grow, and like, the more we pick it up and just like start letting your work sit and lay for a while so that it can actually mature and get ready for reaping. God, I sounded like a preacher almost.
That's all right. Sometimes we need to go to church, Dina.
Right? And so that's beautiful. That's really good. Also, Melanie Vesey was on the last show with me. I don't know if you know her. She's so
fabulous.
lovely.
She's fabulous.
And she and I were talking, and we talked about like quitting and giving, like, and taking a break. Like, there's a difference in taking a break and quitting. And if you're ready to quit, and it's for sure you're ready to quit, then quit and make it done. But if you're taking a break, then just be like, okay, I'm setting it aside for a little bit, and that's totally okay, because your momentum is still going to be there. That anyway.
I love having that conversation with Melanie, because whenever you're like, why'd you take a break? And she's always like, because I got shot. And I'm like, oh.
That's all?
All right. I mean, it's just a bullet.
Right.
You know, I think the thing is that we get afraid to take breaks in this industry because of the relevance. We want to stay relevant. We want to stay top of mind. And I think a lot of people in the arts are afraid to take the breaks they need to recharge, because they're afraid people are going to forget who they are. Or if you say no to a gig, that's it. You're never going to get it again.
Yeah.
And I think it's created this, you know, environment that's a little bit toxic for us, but it's at the same time, it's kind of unavoidable.
Yeah.
You want to have enough confidence in your work and your craft that you know that if you disappear for a month, people are still going to want you when you come back. But I do think there is something about, like, if you're gone for too long and you're not at that level of like the Wanda Sykes or the Fortunes and things like that, will people remember your name?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is a scary thing personally for us, not just professionally. I don't know if you ever saw, oh God, her name just left my mind. Joan Rivers. Did you see Joan Rivers' documentary?
I did.
It was a long time ago, but Joan's talking about how her self-worth was determined by whether or not her calendar was full.
Mm-hmm.
Even at her age, even at her height of success, her self-worth was determined by that. And I think we have to be careful as artists to do that, because then we will burn ourselves out and we will force ourselves to do things that we don't want to do. And so we have to be really careful, I think, with that, as well as putting our self-worth into how successful we are within the industry.
Good input.
Yeah.
I like that.
Thanks.
I like carrying on conversations that kind of drag on with other people. Not drag on, but...
I was like, what the fuck?
God,
Dana,
I just have so much fun with you.
Dana, let's go. It's only a half an hour show. Let's wrap it up.
The last thing I want is the last thing I want to ask you, the last important thing was...
Yes, I'm listening.
Now I can't remember. Great.
Okay.
This has been a stellar show.
Let's broke my glasses.
Don't show your pants.
No, I don't have any pants to show.
Awesome. What would you tell a comic that's just starting out?
I would tell them to record all of their sets, because it's something that I did in the beginning and I stopped doing, and I wish I hadn't, because sometimes magic comes out when you least expect it, and you can make it into a joke that's going to last your career. So, and you get to learn what you're not doing right or what the audience is not reacting to. So I'd say record all of your shows. If this is something that's burning in you and it is a thought that does not let go, meaning I need to do an open mic, or I need to get on stage, or I need to try stand up, go do it. Mm-hmm. You will never know if you're a natural and this is something you can do for the rest of your life and hopefully make money off of it, or if this is just a pipe dream and you're like, man, you know what? It's not what I thought it was going to be. But if it nags at you, go do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Make sure that I would suggest getting writing groups with the people that you respect and that you like to help your creativity go. A lot of the times when I'm feeling stagnant, I don't know about you, but I will go to comedy shows in town and just watch my friends. I'll go support them, but it also starts to get my creative juices going. So go watch stand up. Just as much as you perform, go watch, because you will learn from people. Don't steal their material. Just go watch.
Don't steal their material.
Yeah.
And then let's say that there's somebody at the stage where they're really killing it in their hometown. They want to get on the road. What do you suggest?
That is a good question. I went from living in Albuquerque, New Mexico for 33 years right to Los Angeles, California. And I've never been what they would call a road comic. Even though I travel a lot, I have never done the clubs. Mm-hmm. My suggestion is those tapes that you have had, that you've been recording, start sending them out to everybody, not just clubs, publications, organizations you want to work with, if you want to work with organizations, if you're that type of comic. But a lot of it is getting your name out there. So try and get some press, get it to the clubs. You just have to kind of work your way up. You know, you start as an opening comedian, you prove yourself, you get asked to feature. We live in an industry where women are not headlining as much as men are. So you have to decide if that's the route that you want to take. What I've done, and what I know a lot of my colleagues have done, is that we create our own work. I will go rent a small black box theater, or I'll reach out to a comedy club, a lesbian club or a gay club, LGBT club, and basically a cabaret room. A lot of them have them upstairs. They do drag shows. And there's no reason you can't do a comedy show in an environment that has a drag stage. So you got to be creative. Think outside the box. And if you're not getting the work that you want to at the comedy clubs, create your own work, create your own projects. Gina Yashere became, I don't want to say famous because of it, but when people weren't hiring her to do things, she used her own money that she made in the clubs to record her Showtime specials. And then she sold them. She was a brilliant businesswoman. And those are the things that you learn watching. So we have to create our own destiny sometime in that. So sometimes it takes a little harder work.
So good.
Yeah.
So good. I love it. That's the perfect place to end. So
you're a doll.
Oh, thank you.
I love that you're doing this too. I love that you're doing the show and showcasing female comedians. It's just wonderful. And I love everything you're doing in the world. So keep doing it and take up the space that you deserve, because I know sometimes we as artists feel like we need to make ourselves small in certain situations, and don't ever do it, especially as a trans woman. Just don't do it.
Thank you.
I love you.
I love you. So for the audience, people that are watching, how can they get in touch with you or find you on the socials, all over the webs?
You can send gifts to, just kidding. On all the socials, my handle is at DG Comedy. So my initials, DG Comedy. Twitter, have a massive follow, not massive, that sounded really gross. I have a larger following on Twitter than any of my other social medias, but if you don't want to hear my words, but you want to look at my face, you should follow me on Instagram, also at DG Comedy. And then the Facebooks, they're all related, but that's how you follow me. If you want to see where my shows are, I try and keep my schedule up to date, and that's danagoldberg.com. It's as easy as that.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me as a guest and letting me be relaxed in my sporty spice.
How a sporty spice.
I'm a chapstick lesbian.
You're gorgeous.
You're
Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and we will see you guys the next time. Go follow Dana, and have a great weekend.
Bye.
Or night, or day, or week, or wherever we are in the day.
Millennium.
Have a great one.
Bye.
Bye.